Hello all. We are going to continue our discussion and here is a slide and we are talking about formulating strategies, which means that we create a roadmap and we have to stay in course and it has to be reflective of our mission, goals, and our objectives. And it's a game plan, means that leads to competitive advantage and regarding strategic planning, and we have to see if we want to be a cost leadership, means that to look for the least expensive way of dealing with the situation, and or if we want to focus on differentiation. Differentiation means we are different from our competitors. Different in what? In quality of service, in price, in location, and also sometimes we want to get into a business. Sometimes it might be beneficial to be focus on a niche market. Niche market means that a specific market that is focused on a specific group. For example, McDonald's, I can't think about it as, of course, it has a market of fast food, but if you look at the age of the customers, McDonald's doesn't focus only on children, suppose, or on adults. It tries to bring everybody in. But there are certain niche markets that can be very focused for, a special type of people or, groups. Therefore, these are the things that we have to incorporate in our strategic plans. And here, three strategic options that we have, and one of them is differentiation, and one of them is low cost, and we want to see which one. And we discussed about sometimes we look at the whole thing, and sometimes we look at the niche market, and we want to differentiate our products and focus on cost. And do we want to be a leader in the cost, to be the low cost producer in industry? That's great. If we want, we can keep the cost down. Excuse me. And if you have a company that is low cost, means that in our case, we said that we want to have a consignment store. And in fact, that's a low cost operation. Suppose low cost is that finding employees that don't charge a lot of money, and therefore we don't, if you pay significant amount of money, maybe you are in disadvantage, and maybe you bring inexpensive or inexpensive rent. Therefore, these are the strategies that you have if you are a low cost operation, and therefore you have some advantages reaching buyers who buy on the basis of price. Because if you are a low cost, then you can transfer that benefit to your customers and you can be very competitive then. And you have the power to set the industry's price floor because it is low cost. Everybody has, others cannot compete with you. And you put the, imagine that 7-Eleven suddenly is able to get the gas at a very low price. And if it gets it at a very low price, it can sell it low. Therefore, it sets the price for sheets to have follow that. Therefore, that is the advantage of being focused on cost, and also cost leadership as well. Buyers are sensitive to price changes, which we know about it. Competing firms sell the same commodity products. A company can benefit from economies of scale. Economies of scale means that when you produce significant amount of the same materials, same services, you can cut the cost, and therefore it is just like American Woodmark, suppose suddenly makes 1,000 cabinets, but at the same time it has the capability of making 50,000 cabinets. Therefore, when it can make huge amount of cabinets, it can somehow benefit by producing a large scale rather than. Therefore, these are examples of cost leadership, and sometimes differentiation. Companies to build customer by pointing its goods in unique or different fashion. Suppose if you are you are going to open a consignment store, how can you be different from your competitors? And for example, your competitors are closed on Sundays. Maybe you are open on Sundays. Therefore, you are differentiating your service from your competitor because they are not open on the weekends. You are. Therefore, you have to look at differentiation. Or let's say you are providing delivery, home delivery, for example. Imagine that you put the products on the website. When you put it on the website, the people can look at it, and sometimes they might purchase it online from your consignment store. And if they buy, then you can get their credit cards and you can deliver it for them. Your competitors is not providing the same service that you are. Therefore, you are differentiating. Idea is best something customers value. Therefore, if the customers like the concept of you deliver it to them, and it doesn't cost you that much, why not? And build basis for differentiation on it, distinctive competence, something that the small company is uniquely good at compared to competitors and big competitors. Yeah, therefore, and these are some examples that book gives as some of them who were able to create those opportunities for themselves. And another thing is niche marketing. Companies select one or more focus. For example, suddenly you might see that if you open one store in Petersburg or one store in Kaiser that is only specialized in consignment things that are related to children, for example, that is when you are looking at niche marketing because your competitors only focus on everybody and you are focusing and narrowing it down. And if that is the case, then suddenly you might have an advantage. Strategies built on differences market segments rather than to serve the total market. You might say, okay, we are only focused on, because if suddenly your name is good in terms of having a consignment store specifically for children, which is located in Kaiser, suddenly you see the children forcing their parents from different counties to go to Kaiser. For example, that is the concept of, to give you some concept of being focused and going after niche markets. And then you want service senior executive companies achieve only 30%, 60% of their strategic plans. They have a lot of goals and strategic plans, but they can reach only to 60% of it. And therefore, these are to create projects by defining purpose, scope, contribution, timing, and establish accurate controls, because when you start your company, you have to have a control over the company, and must identify the track key performance indicators, and you have to control to make sure you are staying with your strategic plan. And if something goes wrong, can you correct it? Your decision was to open 6 consignment stores, and did you do that? Did you manage to do that? Something went wrong, and imagine you feel that maybe it's not a wise idea to open one in Tucker County. Therefore, you have to re-strategize. Therefore, you have to take accurate control of what you have to do. And then balance scorecard is that these are measurements that the manager looks at and regarding financial and operation of the company, and will be able to look at them and quickly figure out if everything is working well, if the strategic plan is implemented properly. And 5 perspectives. Oops. Is that customer? How do customers see us? This is balanced scorecards. And balanced scorecards, you want to see how the customers are evaluating you, and what must we excel. What should be our focus, and can we continue to improve and create value in our company that we created. And how do we look to shareholders. Imagine you have partners that you started your consignment, And then corporate citizenship. Do we meet our responsibility to the society? Therefore, this is something that we talked about. Values is most likely relate to values. And then here, score report, scoreboard card, balanced scorecards, and in that, these are what we mentioned, that how do we look, and what are our goals in terms of how do we look, and what are our goals of what are we good at, and we write our goals here, we write our measures here, and we will calculate, look at that to evaluate. And strategic planning starts with 9 steps. In fact, at the end of the chapter 3, these 9 steps are written on page 121. It's not a bad idea to take a look at 121 and look at those 9 steps. Step 1, create a clear vision. Step 2, look at your strengths and weaknesses. You have heard of this as SWOT analysis. SWOT. S for strengths, W for weakness or opportunities, and T for threats. And number 3 is that scan the environment for these are the 29 steps that we said. Step 3, scan environment for opportunities. Step 4 is identify key factors. Step 5, analyze competition. And step 6, create company goals and objectives. We said in our objectives and goals, we mentioned about it. 7, formulate strategic options. 8, translate strategic plans into actions, and establish control. These are the 9, things that we discussed, and it appears at the end of the chapter. Now, this video is almost 12 minutes, and we end this